Peter Drucker died just a few years ago, and he's, without a lot of argument, the best business thinker that America ever produced, or perhaps the world. He was born an Austrian. And Drucker's line about predicting things says, nobody predicts the future. The idea is to keep a firm grasp of the present, which instantly creates humility in anybody talking about 2015. The biggest change, I think, in recent times is it used to be possible to do one of these forecasts and really just talk about the states. And now, and more so maybe every year, we have to think about the whole world, and it's wise to think about it in 4 blocks. There's the United States, Europe, Japan, and China. There isn't much else. The rest of the world is dependent on those 4 big blocks, and increasingly the 4 big blocks are dependent upon each other. Now, I have a good time every Friday writing about upsets and potential catastrophes and occasional really good news, and magnifying the importance of each one as each thing as it passes each week. As a species, we're put together to get the bear out of the cave, not to admire several generations of its ancestry. And to look forward a year is similar to looking back in time, in that it's a different time scale than we're used to. My make on the world for 2015 fly with those 4 big zones. The United States is no longer at risk of a recession, of slipping back into one. Oh, it might. I mean, anything can happen, but it's unlikely. We're doing enough better that the Fed is going to do something this year, but it's going to follow. It's not going to lead. The fact that a Fed rate increase from 0 is on the table tells you all that you need to know about the bracket ahead for the United States. We're likely to do a little better than we did last year and a lot better than we did in the few years before that. But risk of falling apart is not very high. What about acceleration? Look outside. Europe's not going to change. Europe is stuck on the euro. The euro is a gold standard that has descended upon Europe. Everybody there knows it. There's no apparent way to reverse it. The very strong likelihood is that Europe simply stays in the same swamp that it's been in for the last several years. Japan is the same story. It's different. It's just one country. It's not a region. But it is in such protracted economic and also demographic trouble that there isn't any real way out of it. In both the case of Europe and Japan, the central banks are going to do all that is humanly or inhumanly possible to prevent a collapse. But there isn't any way for them to grow. They're just steady state. They're lumps. They will tend to export deflation and low wages. They'll tend to put tremendous downward pressure on long-term interest rates all over the world. China's the great unknown. I mean, China's so big and in such a state of change that the Chinese leadership itself barely knows what's taking place. But they are in a transition to a healthier economy than the one that they've been in. To make the transition, they have to slow down. The harm from that slowdown will be for the emerging nations and the commodity producers, not for us. In fact, the Chinese transition from a hyper producer of goods and exporter of its own unemployment and low wages will actually tend to help the United States and Europe and even Japan over time. But you look from the United States, where recession risk is diminished. What's the chance of acceleration? Not very good if the rest of the world is, for one reason or another, either stuck or slowing. It's a kind of a boring forecast, for which I apologize. I don't think a great deal will happen, but I don't think much is going to happen. I think it's going to look a lot like the way that it's been. Happy New Year.